Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our coronavirus relief update and also our update on legislation to keep us in our jobs and connected to our healthcare and certainty for our industry. So in March, we did what had never been done before, and I just want to recognize all the work that you did so quickly, because even as we faced the crashing results of coronavirus with air travel plummeting to just 3% of what it had been the year before, our airlines weeks or months at the most from entering bankruptcy, where we as workers, the public, consumers, everyone will lose control, and total control goes to bankruptcy attorneys and the bankruptcy court, the bankruptcy judge, and just like at the end of the United Airlines bankruptcy case, when our pensions were terminated, when $83 million would have saved them and $400 million was awarded to the top executives, and we argued in court that that was unfair. The bankruptcy court judge said, "You're right, that's unfair, but that's the law, and so I must grant it." So the deck is stacked against us, and there is no way that we are going to hand over our power to a bankruptcy court again, or to the investment bankers who would love to make a buck off of airlines going bankrupt, do more consolidation, hurt all of us. We've been through that before. We've seen that horror scene. And that's why we got out front and put forward a proposal for a workers' first relief package. Of all the jobs programs, relief packages that have been put in place since the coronavirus was in place, we have had the most transparent, the most effective jobs program that there is. And yes, there have been issues. There have absolutely been issues. But we know about them because it was the most negotiated item of the CARES Act. It had the most clear language. It was the most transparent process. Oh, and the airline industry is 80% organized, and so our unions have been on top of our airlines as well, and making sure that the program is rolled out the way that it was intended and all of the agreements stay in place. So it has been successful, and we have been able to see that other jobs programs, for every one job that's been saved, we've been able to save 5 jobs in the airline industry. As compared with unemployment, recovering people's salaries, we not only recovered the salaries at the same or less cost, but we also kept people connected to their benefits, connected to our healthcare, connected to our retirement payments, connected to our other benefits, and ready to lift our airlines again. We are not at all where anyone thought we would be by this summer in terms of getting the virus contained and returning confidence to air travel. In fact, air travel has been dropping off again as the virus cases have been spiking. So we have been talking about, for several weeks now, we have been talking about extending the payroll support program. And I just want us to remember that this was half of the airline relief that was put in place in March. And half of the airline relief that was put in place was grants to continue our payroll, to have the airlines be required to have no involuntary furloughs. It also says, and we haven't focused on this a lot, but it's an important piece, it also says that our pay rates cannot be diminished. So there's a protection for all seniorities as well. Even though, of course, we have said no concessions, this crisis is not going to go on our backs. Now, we can say that all day long, and we will. We will continue to say that. But we also have to do our part to act and make sure that we are in a good position to demand no concessions. And right now, what that means is securing an extension to the payroll support program. I want to give you good news. Your calls over the past several weeks have made a huge difference. Later today, Chairman DeFazio of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee in the House will release the Dear Colleague letter that has been circulated in the House with over a majority of signatures. 28 Republicans, the rest are Democrats, but it is a clear majority demand that in this next coronavirus relief package being negotiated this week, that it include a clean extension of the CARES Act Aviation Payroll Support Program, specifically for us. Funding for our pay and our benefits, a requirement of the airlines for no involuntary furloughs, no decreases to our pay rates, and also a cap on executive compensation, a ban on stock buybacks and dividends. We got the things that people hate in this package, and we got the things that we depend on to be able to live in this package. And so we need an extension. This will end on September 30th, and of course there have been warn notices going out, and we are working on mitigation factors to stop involuntary furloughs. But I will tell you that we are aligned because of your action, because of our union's action, because we are totally aligned with every other aviation union in this. And all workers are calling Congress and making noise at a time when they have a lot to deal with. They have the expanded unemployment benefits ending. They have the moratorium on evictions ending. We have a child care system that is collapsing. People can't go back to work if they can't have child care. That disproportionately hurts women and people of color too. There are a lot of issues to address right now in this pandemic, not to mention making sure that we get supplies to the people on the front lines who are fighting the virus. Our healthcare professionals, to make sure that they actually have the PPE to be able to protect themselves, and that we make enough so that flight attendants can have that PPE as well as essential workers. So there's a lot to address in this relief package. We've got to shore up funding for our post office because 4 million people every single day get their prescription drugs through the United States Postal Service. And if they don't have access to that service, there are going to be severe health risks as well. So we have to keep our communities connected. We got a plan to make sure that we've got schooling for our kids that's safe. All of that is what Congress is going to be addressing. And of course, we support all of those things. But we have to make sure that the extension to our payroll support is included in this package. So here's the good news. Let me just tell you, I've heard some people out there saying that they're not sure this is going to happen. They haven't been hearing about it. Well, when I close out this video, you're going to see a montage of some of the media that we've been doing. I don't know why people have been saying there's been no coverage on this. There's been extensive coverage on this. And my son and my husband will tell you that the late nights and the Saturday nights and the early Saturday mornings and the early mornings during the week on Today's Show or MSNBC or Fox Business or Fox News or CBS or NBC News or whatever it has been, you'll see a whole string of those. And we've had flight attendants speaking out as well. This issue is well covered and well known. And now it is confirmed by the House that it is totally supported in a bipartisan fashion. And Senator Schumer, as the lead Democrat in the Senate in these negotiations, is going to put this on the table as a key priority in this bill. That is what we achieved as aviation unions this past week. And that is a key negotiating position. And so we are feeling very good about this. But I will tell you that these offices are very concerned about their elections. And that's why your calls matter. If they get these calls from you, they are going to know that you are paying attention. And this is a cut and dry deal. Did you support my job or not? And that is a pretty serious thing for this election this fall. So these offices know and they're paying attention. And all you have to do is keep calling. This is lined up for us to have this in this package. We don't have to renegotiate it because it's a clean extension. Someone asked, what does a clean extension mean? It means all of the terms that were in place before, including the agreements. Remember, we had to fight Secretary Mnuchin to make sure that the agreements that were actually put in place, even after Congress passed it, were ones that our airlines would take. We're talking about just extending those agreements. No more administrative issues whatsoever at all. An extension of all of the terms for another 6 months to March 31st, 2021, which is predicted that will be much closer to a vaccine, possibly have one, and also in a place where we are able to recover, where we're getting back into the travel season on the other side of this, and hopefully with the virus contained. So this is huge. It also continues another 6 months of paychecks and puts us in a better position to fight through this and make sure that this crisis is not put on our backs. It is not going to be put on our backs this time. Our airlines are not going to have to file for bankruptcy, and we are not going to be asked for concessions to pay for something that we didn't create. So, want to thank all of you very much. I just want to reference that Chairman DeFazio has been an absolute champion on this from the very beginning, from March 13th when we brought this plan to him, and he took it directly to the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, who took it up and made it a priority in those negotiations. Chairman Larson, who chairs the Aviation Subcommittee under Transportation and Infrastructure, has been a champion. Sharice Davids, who is the vice chair. These are all original signers on the House letter that is being finalized right now and will be out later tonight. And then also joining in that was Karen Bass, who was my co-chair on the Biden-Sanders Economy Task Force. She's also the co-chair of the Congressional Black Caucus and a candidate potentially as a nominee for vice president. So she joined on this letter as well, and having her voice was so important, so critical to this. We also had 3 Republicans who were champions on the letter and original signers of the letter to make this a bipartisan letter. And those are Rodney Davis of Illinois, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, and John Katko of New York. And we want to thank them and make sure that we're very clear that this was a bipartisan letter. We have bipartisan support. We had a total, again, of 28 Republicans on this letter, and we are well over a majority on total signers on the letter, so it's a clear mandate from the House. Again, we have support from Senator Schumer, and I have been talking, I've talked with just 3 senators today, all who said, yes, Sarah, we 100% support the clean extension of the payroll support program. I will tell you that is because of your calls. And so don't let anyone say that this isn't going to happen because you're not hearing about it. There are so many issues that are being addressed in this coronavirus relief package that the way that we're going to get this through is by not taking up a lot of airtime. It's a clean extension for a reason. It doesn't have to be renegotiated. It doesn't have to take time at the negotiating table. They're simply going to put it on the table, and we have to make sure that the Republicans say yes. Now, we've had some positive signs there, too. I got a report that one senator has already told someone that they support it. Actually, we've gotten that out of 2 Republican senators' offices. We've gotten some inkling that there is a recognition from Secretary Mnuchin that there needs to be support there. And so we're feeling very good about this, but we cannot take our foot off the gas. So I want to be clear with you. The calls matter. And we're going to continue to post the Senate and House numbers. It doesn't hurt that your House members are getting calls, but we really need to very much focus our efforts going forward here as these discussions take place, mostly in the Senate with the addition of leadership from the House this week. And so we need to be very focused on sending those calls to our senators. You need to call twice every single day, dial those numbers, speak to both of your senators, and demand that the payroll support program for aviation is extended in a clean extension to March 31st, 2021. This is also going to allow us to bounce back faster, our entire economy, because if airline workers are let go, if we are just simply allowed to shrink to a smaller size, right now other countries around the world are saying that they won't even accept American travelers because they do not trust that America has a handle on coronavirus. If we are not ready to bounce back and compete with the rest of the world in aviation, our jobs could be forever harmed. And that is also why we need to keep everyone in place. We don't have time to rehire, retrain, recertify, any of that. If we want to be able to have a strong U.S. airline industry going forward, this matters too. This should matter to every community. It should matter to every member of Congress, and it should matter to every one of us. And so whether you think you might be on the furlough list or not, this matters to you. This matters to all of us. This matters to us as Americans. So I want to thank you so much. You've been doing an amazing job. We are going to continue to lift up our work as essential workers. We've been putting out a video every single week of all of us as essential workers. Send your pictures, your mask pictures, to crewlife@afa-CWA.org, and we will include it in that week's video. Again, that's crewlife@afa-CWA.org. We love seeing your faces. We miss all of you. Everybody I talk to is talking about that, that we don't get to see each other as much. So let's at least share our faces on social media and with each other and lift each other up. I can't tell you how optimistic I am right now, but that's because I know you're not going to give up. I know you're not going to stop. I know you're going to keep calling and demand that we have an extension, a clean extension of the payroll support program in this coronavirus relief package that will be in place by August 7th. So keep calling, and we're going to keep working to avoid those furloughs altogether. I know that's what everyone's talking about, but we're going to work to avoid that altogether, and we can do that together and put ourselves in a much better position to bounce back faster and never have to experience concessions during this crisis that we didn't create. Okay, thanks everybody. Stay strong, and we will be back with you. We'll be updating you regularly because we are in the fight, in it right now. They're negotiating right now. Oh, one last thing. Mitch McConnell will put forward the GOP package today. They have said they're going to put forward the GOP package for coronavirus relief. Our payroll support program extension will not be in that package. Do not let that concern you. That is expected. We totally expect that. That is not the end of this process. There's negotiations now. And the Democrats are going to put this forward as a key priority from all of labor to continue the most successful jobs program that is the best use of the public's money to keep people strong during this time. So thank you all so much, and you have a good day, and spread the word. Call every day and call 5 to 10 of your friends and families and ask them to do the same. Thanks so much. Stay strong. Love you guys. Bye.